There is a test you can do right now that researchers say predicts how long you will live more accurately than your blood pressure, your cholesterol, or your resting heart rate. Stand up. Lift 1 foot off the ground. Don't hold anything. Count 10 seconds. A 2022 study published in the British sport journal Medicine followed 1,702 people between 51 and 75 for 7 years. People who could not hold that 10-second balance had an 84% higher risk of dying from any cause within the following decade. 84% from a 10-second test. If you struggled just now, that is not a verdict. That is a warning. And unlike most warnings your body sends, this one is completely reversible. Have you noticed your body doing things in the last few years that it simply did not do a decade ago? Stiffness, instability, movements that used to be effortless now requiring effort or thought. Comment yes or no right now. Because what most people call aging has a specific biological name that almost nobody discusses. Disuse atrophy. Your body runs a quiet protocol. Use it or lose it. Chairs replace squatting. Screens replaced movement. Modern life engineered the entire human movement vocabulary out of daily existence and then blamed the consequences on getting older. We did not get old. We got sedentary. There is a difference. And the 5 movements in this video directly reverse the systems that decay when you stop using them. But here is what makes these movements uniquely relevant to cellular aging. The kind of aging that happens inside your cells, not just in your joints. Each of these 5 movements activates AMP, the same cellular energy sensor that fasting activates. Each one triggers BDNF, the brain repair protein. Each one suppresses mTOR, the growth pathway that blocks autophagy when it stays chronically active. You are not just maintaining your joints when you practice these movements. You are activating the same biological repair cascade that your fasting window activates. And the two together produce effects that neither produces alone. This channel exists to give you the science your doctor never had time to explain. Subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Movement 1, the deep squat hold. Watch a toddler pick something up off the floor. They drop into a perfect deep squat. Heels flat, hips below knees, spine upright, and they hold it effortlessly. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you sat that way? For nearly all of human history, the deep squat was the default resting position. Populations that still use it, that never replace squatting with chairs, show dramatically lower rates of hip, knee, and lower back problems than Western populations over 50. And here is the biology that explains why. Cartilage inside your joints has no blood supply. The only way it receives nutrients is through compression and release. The joint must move to feed itself. Think of your hip joint as a sponge. Every deep squat squeezes the sponge, pushing out waste fluid and pulling in fresh synovial fluid that hydrates cartilage tissue that has been dry for years. That is not metaphor. That is literally how synovial fluid exchange works. But the deeper cellular mechanism is this. The mechanical load of a deep squat activates AMP in skeletal muscle within minutes. AMP suppresses mTOR. mTOR suppression, the same suppression your 16-hour fasting window creates, accelerates autophagy in the loaded tissue. The deep squat hold is simultaneously a joint rehabilitation tool and a cellular autophagy trigger. Done in a fasted morning state, the effect is multiplicative. How to do it? Stand in front of a sturdy door frame. Hold with both hands. Lower slowly into a squat, keeping heels on the ground. If heels lift, place a small rolled towel beneath them. Drop hips below knees. Chest tall. Breathe. Week 1, 30 seconds, 3 times daily. Week 2, 60 seconds. Week 3, attempt without holding. By week 4, most people achieve 90 seconds unassisted. Movement 2, the active dead hang. A landmark study published in The Lancet tracked 140,000 people across 17 countries to find which cheap, accessible measurement best predicted mortality. Not blood pressure, not cholesterol, not BMI grip strength. For every 5 kilogram drop in grip strength, mortality from any cause increased by 16%. Your handshake tells researchers more about how long you have left than your blood pressure reading does. And almost nothing rebuilds grip strength as efficiently as hanging from a bar. Your shoulder joint is the most mobile joint in the human body, and it has a specific maintenance requirement. It needs to be loaded overhead regularly, or it stops functioning correctly. You reach forward constantly. Keyboard, steering wheel, phone. You almost never reach up. Over years, the space between your shoulder blade and upper arm bone narrows. Tendons running through that space get pinched every time you raise your arm. That chronic shoulder pain that appeared one day without obvious cause. It did not just start. It built over 20 years of unused overhead range. The active dead hang decompresses the shoulder and spine simultaneously. Gravity, which has been compressing your vertebrae for 40 years, suddenly reverses. Intervertebral discs rehydrate and expand. The crushed sensation in your lower back that you have accepted as normal is often compression that decompresses the moment you hang. How to do it. Grab a bar with palms facing away, slightly wider than shoulders. Before lifting your feet, pull your shoulder blades down and back, as if sliding them into your back pockets. Then lift. The version that damages shoulders is passive, shoulders riding up to ears. The version that heals is active, shoulder blades engaged throughout. Start with 10 to 15 seconds. Build towards 60 seconds total daily. Movement 3. The bear crawl. When was the last time you spent any meaningful time on the ground as an adult? Modern life moves you from one elevated surface to another, chair to car to couch to bed, without ever touching the floor in between. The cost has been ruthless and almost completely invisible. The bear crawl is not a fitness exercise, it is a nervous system reset. The single most underrated capacity for aging well is cross-body coordination, your right arm working with your left leg, and vice versa. This is the fundamental movement pattern that wired your brain in the first place. Before you could walk, you crawled. The act of moving opposite limbs together is what built the neural connections between the two hemispheres of your brain through a structure called the corpus callosum. Research on cross-lateral movement confirms that it activates both brain hemispheres simultaneously and simultaneously triggers BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, in a way that unilateral movement does not. BDNF is the growth and repair signal for neural tissue. Fasting elevates it. Intense exercise elevates it. Cross-lateral movement in the fasted state produces both stimuli together. The bear crawl version with knees 1 inch off the ground converts a childhood movement into one of the most demanding full-body stability challenges possible without equipment. Your core fires continuously. Your nervous system coordinates 4 limbs simultaneously while calculating which moves next. It strips you back to what you were before chairs and screens altered your movement vocabulary. How to do it. Hands and knees. Hands directly under shoulders, knees under hips. Lift knees 1 inch off the ground. Not a foot 1 inch. You will feel your core fire immediately. Move forward. Right hand and left foot together, 6 inches at a time. Then left hand and right foot. Slow and controlled. Hips level, no rocking. After 10 to 15 steps forward, reverse. Backward crawling is harder because you cannot see where you are going. Your body relies entirely on proprioception, your internal sense of where you are in space. That sense fades early in aging and is a leading cause of falls. Start with 30 seconds. Build to 60 seconds daily, alternating forward and backward. Movement 4. The glute bridge hold. Here is a question you have probably never been asked. Are your glutes actually working? For most people who sit for a living, the answer is no. There is a name for this condition. The spine researcher Dr. Stuart McGill called it gluteal amnesia. Your glutes are still there anatomically, but the neural connection between your brain and that muscle has gone quiet from disuse. Here is how it happens. Sitting for 10, 12, 14 hours a day locks your hip flexors in a shortened, contracted position, while your glutes stay lengthened and silent for hours, day after day. The nerve signals weaken. The muscle stops firing on demand. Eventually, it barely activates at all. The consequences extend far beyond the glutes themselves. Your glutes are the engine of nearly every powerful movement you make. Walking, climbing, lifting from the floor, generating force in any direction. When they go offline, those jobs are outsourced to your lower back, your hamstrings, your knees. Structures not designed to be the primary engine. They overload. They strain. They deteriorate. Research consistently shows that people with chronic lower back pain have weaker glutes and delayed glute activation compared to those without it. The back is not the problem in the majority of chronic lower back cases. The absent glutes are. The glute bridge hold specifically reactivates dormant nerve pathways through sustained isometric contraction, the hard, held squeeze that forces the neural signal to fire repeatedly until the connection rebuilds. How to do it. Lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat. Position feet so fingertips can just touch your heels when arms are at your sides. Squeeze glutes hard, brace your core. Drive through your heels, not your toes, and lift your hips until your body forms a straight line from knees to shoulders. At the top, squeeze as hard as possible and hold. Do not bounce. Hold 60 to 90 seconds per set, 2 to 3 sets daily. By week 3, most people report the lower back stops aching when standing after long periods of sitting. The foundation comes back online, and when the foundation comes back online, everything built on it stabilizes. Movement 5. Single leg balance. You already did the test at the beginning of this video. Now here is what it is actually measuring. To hold one leg for 10 seconds, your inner ear must function. Your eyes must track. Your nervous system must send corrective signals to dozens of stabilizing muscles simultaneously. Your brain must know exactly where your body is in space at every moment. When any of those systems begin to fail, the 10-second test catches it before anything else does. That is why the Brazil study was so significant. The balance test did not predict falls. It predicted total mortality from any cause because it measures the integrated function of multiple biological systems simultaneously. It is the canary in the coal mine. Until your mid-50s, balance is one of the slowest declining capacities you have. Then it falls off a cliff. The chain that follows is brutal. A fall, a broken hip, a hospital stay, muscle loss from immobility, complications. A person who was walking independently last year is now requiring full-time assistance. Not because of bad luck, but because nobody tested the balance system when there was still time to train it. The good news is that balance responds to practice faster than almost any other physical capacity. The nervous system is extraordinarily plastic. It adapts to the demands you place on it with a speed that muscle tissue cannot match. 3 to 4 weeks of daily practice produces measurable improvements in proprioception and postural stability. How to do it? Stand near a wall for safety. Fix your gaze on a single point and lock onto it. Lift one foot. Bend your standing knee slightly, never lock it. Hold 10 seconds, switch sides. Once 10 seconds is easy, close your eyes. This eliminates your primary visual compensation and forces your vestibular and proprioceptive systems to work without assistance. Start with 5 seconds eyes closed and build. Target 30 to 60 seconds per leg daily. When you combine all 5 movements into a single daily sequence, the total time is 8 to 10 minutes. Deep squat hold, 60 seconds. Active dead hang, 30 seconds rest, then another 30. Bear crawl, 60 seconds alternating forward and backward. Glute bridge hold, 90 seconds, squeezing hard. Single leg balance, 30 seconds each side. That is the complete protocol. But here is the cellular reality that makes this protocol extraordinary when combined with your fasting practice. Every one of these 5 movements activates AMPK, which suppresses mTOR and deepens autophagy in the exercise tissue. Done in the fasted morning state, between hour 14 and 18 of an overnight fast, each movement adds its cellular stress signal on top of the fasting-induced cellular stress signal already present. The result is not additive. Research from cell metabolism has shown that the combination of fasting and movement activates longevity pathways, specifically FOXO transcription factors and SIRT1, that neither produces independently at the same magnitude. Your 8-minute movement protocol in a fasted state is producing a cellular repair environment that extended fasting alone cannot replicate in muscle and joint tissue. This is not coincidence. This is convergent biology. Fasting and movement were the 2 constants of human existence for nearly all of evolutionary history. Your cellular repair machinery evolved expecting both stimuli regularly. When you provide both together, consistently, your biology responds the way it was designed to. Picture 2 versions of yourself 10 years from now. In one version, the joints kept stiffening. The balance kept declining. The movements that used to be effortless became efforts, and then became impossible, and then became things you simply stopped attempting. The slow surrender of physical sovereignty that most people accept because nobody told them it was negotiable. In the other version, you practice these 5 movements. You maintain the ranges your joints were built to use. You kept the neural connections that coordination requires. You preserved the grip strength that the Lancet study said was predicting your mortality. You are still the person others call when something needs to be done, not the person others manage. That is not fantasy. That is biology applied with consistency. Which of these 5 movements do you think your body needs most right now? Comment below, I genuinely want to know which one resonates. And if you want to understand what happens inside your cells when you combine these movements with your fasting window, the exact stages of autophagy that activate in muscle tissue, and how deep the cellular repair goes, that video is right here. Watch it next. Your body does not break with age, it breaks with disuse. Now you know exactly how to use it.